What's up, everybody, and welcome to Inside the Game, your source for everything in the world of video games. That's right, we got it all, and we got a hot show for you this week. What's coming up on today's show? Here it is. It's the rundown.
Everything is super dark.
I managed to get my hands on Ghostwire Tokyo for PS5.
Well, guys, we got a spicy topic this week. We got GTA Plus
Anniversary Edition. I had to kind of adjust myself a little bit, but honestly, it's been a while since I've played a half-decent stealth game.
Looks like a hot show, so let's get going as we got lots to talk about today. We're hitting the dirt first with some Supercross. Time to get on the dirt bikes. We're going riding. We're back hitting the tracks with a game I've kind of been a little skeptical for, and there's a good reason. Talking about Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 5. Yeah, it's a long title, I know. Now, I've been covering the Supercross series for a very long time. I'm a big fan of Supercross, so for me, there's a lot to dig into and a lot that still needs work. It really is disappointing. A lot of the game is functional like always. It runs well, it looks good. There's certain moments that the contrast of the dirt is really bright, and you kind of question what's going on there. The clay is a different texture. You can see the textures, which is really cool. There's a lot in Supercross, but again, if you played 4, you probably played this one as well. Not much has really changed. You're looking for new features. What's going to kind of entice the new riders to come back, or existing riders to get back into the game once again? If you've been playing this for the last few years, you've noticed the difficulty kind of spike in the AI, and that's my biggest problem. Still remains to be my biggest problem, because if you go into training, they have training mode, they have a career mode, they have the compound is back. You can make your own tracks if you want to. Super cool, actually. Now, if you get into the training mode, you have to go spell shape, because you got to keep your character in shape. You got to keep your rider fit. I get that, right? You're going to get injured when you're out there doing riding, and you want your career to be authentic and have a purpose and a meaning. This really just doesn't work. Riding around the compound, trying to spell shape, really sucks. It is boring. There, half the time you can't even make the full lap. You have 2 minutes, 3 minutes maybe to get this whole thing done, and they're on one side of the map, then you got to go to the letter that's on the other far side of the map. It's not even kind of loops together properly. It doesn't make any sense. Now, they do have the other courses where you can go in and do other training too. One scenario, you have to go past as many riders as possible. Pretty simple, because I blew by them all. Every single one. There's nobody left in front of me, right? Pretty easy. Here's my problem. Go to the race, I'm in last. It's not how this works. You can't blow by everybody in training, go to the main event, and then come in last place. If I was in last place on the training event, I'd understand coming in last place on the main event. Doesn't work. The AI is still one of those up and down racing things that just gets irritating. I get you have to upgrade your rider. I've done so a lot, and it looks good. It works well. You're working on your braking, you're working on your turning, you're working on your whips, this, that, the other, your health, your physical form. There's a lot to uncover in the game, but a lot of it just doesn't seem to have any effect within the game. It doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Nothing seems to really push this game into the direction that I was hoping it really would do. You want a career? My characters, you can model your character, you can customize your character, and it doesn't really seem to matter. The functionality of the face form, you can want to pick your eyes, this, that, and it's so simple, so basic. Again, the character customization in Supercross remains to be one of the weakest within any game, which is unfortunate. I really want my character to look like me, and it doesn't. Your character still has no personality. You do have a career mode, that which I went heavily into. You can go with the 250s, you can go 450s, you go west, you go east, and then you play all the tracks. They have all the tracks plus some, which is awesome. The selection and tracks are fantastic, and they're authentic. They follow all the regular tracks. They look incredible. If you've seen the races, you know you're going to encounter that exact same track within the game, and they've done it one for one, and it's awesome. Following the game though, is when you get into this ebb and flow of the AI. 1 minute you're at first, next minute I'm in 18th. Yeah, not everything goes well. Every rider seems to stumble along the way, whether you hit the hay bale, you miss time a jump, all that takes into effect here. But when nothing goes wrong and you still land in last, it's like getting hit with the blue shell from Mario Kart and all of a sudden getting pushed right to the end because you were leading. You can't lead half of that race and then find yourself at the bottom by the time the race is over when nothing's gone wrong. All in all, there's some rough spots in this game, unfortunately, as Supercross seems to continue on year after year. They really seem to have less improvements that I'm looking for. They have things where you can get in there if you're brand new that will help you get into the training and understand the functionality of the game, how you're supposed to ride, how you hit your turns when you kind of push forward, lean forward, and then watch your weight and shift your weight. There's a lot to encounter with the game. Ruts used to be a thing within this game, which no longer matter. When you ride a track after so many rounds, so many laps, it's going to create a groove within the track. And that used to actually impact Supercross within the game itself, the video game. And it doesn't do that here. They take that functionality out. It's just you see the ruts and that's it. There's nothing where it doesn't actually wear down on the track. When you get to some of the whoops, there should be a groove all the way along the whoops section, and it's just not there. And it's just, I'm kind of, why? At this point, in this stage in the game, this should be top quality stuff, and that should be in the game because it's in every single race. If you watch Supercross, Milestone watches Supercross, you can see that they have clearly paid attention to how Supercross works, but they're still missing some of the minor things. If you're a fan of the game, you're missing those elements that you could or should expect within the game. All in all, Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 5, just is a rinse and repeat of last year's game and really the year before that. Little innovation moving the game forward, customizing your characters still as dull as ever. The fact that the rut system has been removed kind of baffles my mind, and you can play it online. That's a high. If you can find the whoop section and you get it in the right rhythm, it feels great. It feels like it's at the top. But when you start off at rookie and then you go up to the next stage and then the next stage and get beat down and beat down, you can't blow by everybody in the first round and then end in last place in the second round. It doesn't make any sense. The difficulty spike needs to be worked on again, still to this game. For me, all in all, I can't give this one a good score. I'm there with a 4. Supercross 5 remains the same old game. AI needs work once again. Spelling shape to stay in shape is dull. Milestone just didn't cross the finish line this year.
Some cool Xbox news this week. Microsoft has announced by 2030 they're hoping to get the Xbox and all the materials in the packaging and just the materials to make the console to 100% recyclable materials, which is pretty cool. You may not know that right now 97% of the current, box materials, everything kind of comprised of the Xbox and the controller and all the accessories is actually already 97% completely recyclable. They're going to focus the next 8 years on getting this last 3%, which is obviously going to be the hardest. They said they're hard in development and trying to, get that carbon negative, water positive, no waste state kind of footprint for the company. And it's a big push, right? That's kind of the times we're in now. It's thinking about green and our future and our planet. So it's always nice to see these big companies like Microsoft kind of pushing these initiatives forward and making sure that the public know that this is what they're working towards. They're going to try to make, a greener environment, not just for gamers, but for everybody. So it's cool to see, we got 8 years till then. There's a lot of work to be done, but it'll be nice to see in 2030 that maybe we'll be able to recycle our consoles completely.
Alright, so in Hunt Showdown, we've had yet again another update, and this time, we're getting the first-person perspective updated on 13 legendary hunters. The first-person perspective from a lot of the legendary hunters that we've been given lately are true to what they actually look like. So to see a lot of these old legendary hunters brought back to life in new ways, in ways that you can really see the markings on their hands and see their clothing, it just adds so much more life to this game. So please let me know, guys, are you playing this game? I would love to hear about your experiences and maybe share some of mine. Hit us up on our Discord or on our website at insidethegame.ca.
Drew himself has been following Square Enix Marvel's Avengers since launch in September the 4th, 2020, and it's been a bit of a turbulent ride for this Crystal Dynamics game. It started off strong with the Reassemble campaign, then slowly went downhill after. There was issues with transferring data from your PS4 to your PS5, then they decided to change how you get XP as they thought people were levelling up too quick and decided to make you grind more of the game to level up your character. Then they introduced some new characters. We had 2 archers to start off with, Kate Bishop and Clint Barton. Then we had the Black Panther from the Amazing War for Wakanda. Then there was a very disappointing DLC of having such an iconic character such as Spider-Man with no story campaign, and like most of the game, keep playing and grinding the same levels over and over again. And it still was not perfect as it still had bugs and glitches, and there was still plenty of microtransactions for cosmetics and the lack of content within the game. Well, there's a new update, the 2.3, and it's already causing a stir for PS5 users, as the update has removed outdated quests and a reworked wall table where players can access missions and events. But the new mission chain, led by Nick Fury, that in the cutscene it freezes and crashes the game on the PS5. And Crystal Dynamics has tweeted a temporary workaround. Go to operations and reset your Reassemble campaign progress. As soon as you become young Kamala on A-Day, force close the game from the PS home screen, then you should be able to start Avengers Initiative. Well, I can tell you straight away, I will not be jumping onto Marvel's Avengers anytime soon until I know this fix has been sorted that I don't have to restart the campaign all over again. But also noted this fix has only worked for some players and not for everybody. And there's even been some angry users that are now asking for Marvel's Avengers for them to pull the plug on this game as enough is enough.
One man's story of a world lost. Dead Man's Diary is the new game from TML Studios, and it is said to be a very horror, really survival-based kind of experience. It is a first-person game, and I'm playing this over on Steam. Now, this game is really, really big, so I have to get into this by saying that I'm not all the way through it yet. I've wedged that door open, I've gotten inside, but the ending eludes me. Everything is super, super dark, and while you're scavenging around, they really go for that kind of sifting through rubble feeling. And it's actually something that's very similar to Fallout, in my opinion. Now, this game is not like Fallout, but we'll get to that. How it is like Fallout is that there's been some sort of a nuclear catastrophe. There was some sort of a world war. Humanity was forced underground into these bunkers, very much like Fallout. And 15 years later, you come out and try and explore the world again. You know there must be other survivors because of these notes left throughout the world. Dead Man's Diary is, well, it's named that way for 2 reasons. You keep a diary, and you're always adding all of your objectives to it, and your different things that you've learned about the environment get put into that, and you can read that at any time. That is the Dead Man's Diary, but you also find many other Dead Man's Diaries as well. Things that are usually pretty helpful. Sometimes it'll just be a note on a car that says, "Oh no, I'm running out of stuff," or why is there always a scratching noise? And people starting to kind of lose their mind amongst the scavenging folk. There's sometimes these notes that'll be much more helpful. They complicate the survivability just a little bit further, and that's actually one of the points where I get really frustrated with. There is a Geiger counter that you need to find so that you can scan the different food items and water that's around to make sure that it's safe to consume. That seems pretty sensical. Now, what's not sensical is that it does not show you where that Geiger counter is. You have to find it, just like you have to find everything else in the world. And it didn't really put it in an obvious place, in my opinion. It is an open world, you're kind of directed through little sections at a time. Your character narrates that part, so you know there's some things going on, but it never led me to the, well, I'll give you a hint. It's in a shipping container, okay? It took me hours of scavenging the different areas of this map, opening a million boxes that all required lockpicks, and finding a bunch of junk water I can't drink yet, and that was really, really maddening. There's not a lot of direction in this game, and for some people that's going to be a real positive, but in my case I had a lot more frustration than satisfaction that way. What is satisfying is when you find all of the right ingredients to put together the item that you need. There's a lot of these kind of craftable items, bandages, different food items and things like that to extend your survival, and then you have kind of larger projects.
Great, an ambulance.
A lot of times you walk into an area and you'll hear a kick of a can down the road behind you or something crash in the distance, and your character swivels around, turns the flashlight on, and is very, alerted by it. You will hear some expletives at that time, but as you would hear from I if I were in that situation. It is very dark.
What is this? Hello? Is there anybody here?
I wish I had a little bit more of a narrative drive to it. Maybe just more of a direction of where to go. I don't need waypoints, but just as long as they tell me, hey, there's a house over here, you better do that next. Otherwise, I kind of find myself lost, assembling a bunch of different objectives and getting a whole lot of nothing done. And that's unfortunate. What I do enjoy is that there's a little bit of this horror element. The little footsteps behind you that you hear running, or the different debris noises, and your character swivels around in terror. I like the voice acting because it's all very authentic and believable. You hear your character swear really loudly in fear. You hear him kind of tell someone off as if he can see them. You can get the idea of characterization from this person, and it gives me, well, it's believable. It kind of puts me in those shoes. I can relate to somebody who's getting annoyed and scared. I think this one is definitely something you should check out if you are inclined to a kind of spooky, surreal, science fiction survival story. I really enjoyed this one, but it does have a little bit of a hard edge. That darkness really kills me, and man, they could have given me a Geiger counter off the start. But I'm gonna wrap this up with a 7. I believe this game is very confident, but there's some aspects that just maybe could have handled a little more testing. Dead Man's Diary is a strong and difficult survival challenge. Its compelling environments and great voice acting keep the story exciting.
Well, guys, we got a spicy topic this week. We got GTA Plus for the online service. They're coming out. Rockstar's coming out with a subscription model. What do we get? We get access for $6, $5.99. We're gonna get more money, more XP, more cars, couple, exclusive things. It's got some highs, it's got some lows, but it honestly has me a little concerned about the future of GTA. That's where it really boils down for me. Again, GTA Online just came to next gen consoles at a price, right? That came at a premium. That's a problem right there. This is 3 generations old, and you're making us pay again. Now, granted, they got me because I paid for it, right? So there's red flag already. I got it. I had to. It's one of those games that's gonna be around forever. We know we're not getting GTA 6 anytime soon. So you want to get back in, this is the way you get to do it on next gen consoles. And then they announced the subscription model. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I've already bought this game like 4 times. Now a subscription, there are some cool perks in it. For me, I don't see it being enough right now. We will take a look at it long term and make an opinion from there. But as of right now, I'm not getting it as a returned player. I will wait, see what I'm missing out on, and maybe then we'll see if I dabble into that subscription. But for me, it feels greedy in my eyes right now. Nate, how do you feel?
Well, man, I was already pretty skeptical about them trying to charge me a third time for this game. Like,
Yeah.
I played GTA a lot. I got to level close to 100. So, like, I played quite a bit.
Yep.
And just all this kind of negativity that's been going around this game with all these prices, more subscriptions or whatever, it's just something I'm just completely disinterested in. As a returning fan, no, like we game share, so I'll play with you. We'll do some heists, but outside of that, I'm not gonna go back to GTA and start grinding again. It's greedy, like you said, man. But I do understand, like, there's Fallout first, and they charge even more than what Rockstar is offering.
Sure.
So, in some aspects, this game is old. Yeah, they need to keep it alive. But I think, considering that they are on the top charts every month, I think after this much time, they should have pulled what Rocket League did and made their game just free, and then this subscription service would
Makes
be
sense.
more enticing. But
Yep.
I know it's only $30 or whatever the upgrade is for whatever console you have, because they have different variations with
PlayStation
that.
versus Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, and it just, for me, man, no, I'm just not interested. I don't think the timing of this was great at all. So no, thank you. Scott, what about you, bud?
I'm very much in the same camp. I see there being a couple problems with this, and one is a big industry kind of phase. I don't want every company to kind of adopt something like this, because I just fundamentally don't enjoy what they're selling here. I see that there's value, but after so long, and after being a fan like myself, I've bought it twice, I believe. Not to get the third version of it just for free already set me on the wrong path. And then on top of it, there's this subscription service. So if they had added this to the game, the new version, and that was just part of that $30 upgrade, then that would be a little more digestible. But I find it to be just a real negative on the consumer. I don't see how this is consumer friendly. It kind of seems like a cash grab in a certain kind of way. And although they're going to add relief to their grind, it's their grind by design. So it kind of seems like they've created the problem and they're selling the solution. I'm just not very excited about that. And I made a joke earlier. I can't wait to introduce Grand Theft Auto 5 to my children. If they had done this with Grand Theft Auto 4, brought that back in, all right, make that remaster, although I have fears about that. That could work better in my opinion. But I think I'm just tired of Grand Theft Auto. Cory, you've explained this a couple times in a much more productive manner. What do you think about this?
Well, you know what, guys? I hear you, and you know what? I'm there with you guys. I think the timing of this drop was poorly done. I mean, we're finding out we have to pay for the next-gen version of the game. Most of us have already paid for it twice, and now you're going to make me pay for a subscription service that, offers a bunch of really good value. I think for $6 a month, you are getting a lot. You're getting $500,000. That might not be a lot in how much you spend in GTA 5, but realistically, it's $500,000 when you're grinding those jobs out, Drew. Like, you're in it right now. It's not easy to accumulate those bills. So to be able to get $500,000 a month on top of a bunch of kind of early exclusive, whether it be weapons or skins for cars, all different kinds of stuff, like there's value there for the $6. And I think it's going to appeal to the people that haven't stopped playing this game for the last 5-6 years, right? It's people that are playing GTA 5 nonstop. I'm thinking content creators, people that spend a lot of money on these shark cards, so now they're getting discounts to pay for their extra currency so they can do wild stuff for their audience, and the chat can go wild, all that kind of stuff, right? So I see there being a party of people that are interested in this, that really want this, but as people like us that are more casual into this game, I don't see a need for it, especially immediately. Maybe let's wait and see how this launch goes, how how people, people are going to keep playing this game regardless. I shouldn't say they're going to stop anytime soon. But I mean, like Scott said, this is poorly timed. It's just not where it needs to be. I want to be positive about it. I think the value's there. If this is something that interests you, I think $6 is bang on for it. Honestly, that's just our opinions, though. I mean, we've got a whole crew of people that got opinions. Head over to insidethegame.ca and let us know.
Tokyo is a beautiful city with plenty of things to do, but there's just one question. Where is everybody? I managed to get my hands on Ghostwire Tokyo for PS5 by Tango Gameworks, the team that bought the Evil Within franchise and released by Bethesda. And I have to say they've done an amazing job making Tokyo a very busy city to make it feel like a very eerie ghost town and the atmosphere to suit. You have the option if you like to change the audio language in the main menu, as the default audio language is Japanese with English subtitles, which I left, and I'm glad I did, as it made me feel more immersed in the game and keeping to its authenticity. And it doesn't mess around. Straight off it throws you straight into the story, where a fog has appeared and the Tokyo citizens have vanished mysteriously, and otherworldly spirits known as visitors have invaded the city. You play as Akito, and after hovering between life and death after a motorcycle accident, a spirit named KK, a detective, hijacks Akito's body and the two are forced to work together. As you explore the city of Tokyo, it is like two halves. Part KK to find out what happened to the citizens of Tokyo by finding his notes about the paranormal activities, and Akito, who's trying to find his sister that was abducted by a mysterious man from a hospital where she was in a coma. With the infusion of KK, he brings Akito special abilities to take down the visitors. And you can sense the creativity that Tango Gameworks brought from the Evil Within, as I love the style of the visitors taken from the Japanese folklore and urban legends. You have different types of walkers, such as Rain, Rugged and Relentless, Brain Slashers, Students of Miseries, Students of Pain, Passengers, and there are plenty of spooky looking characters throughout the game as you progress through your story. And there are different ways to take them out. You have ground and melee core grab, that allows you to purge enemies when they are down. Wing charge attacks, water weaving, fire weaving, as well as a bow and arrow for long distance takedown. You also get talisman that can stun enemies, expose spirits enemy cores, decoy and thicket to place a bush so you can hide in. You also get the ability to block, and it's almost like a magical shield which comes in very handy against the attacks from the visitors. But a well-timed block will actually stun the visitor enough time for you to go over and purge its core. Throughout the map of Tokyo, you will come areas that you can't get through because it's corrupted, and you'll have to use your spectral vision to find the weak spot for you to attack it to clear that area. But this spectral vision is also very handy, as it will tell you where your waypoints are, but also it will highlight where the visitors are even if they're through walls. You also acquire a grapple hook that you can use to attach to the tengus, which are from a Japanese folk religion, to get you to the top of the buildings, and you also have the ability to glide, so you can go from rooftop to rooftop to get to those hard to reach souls. All of these can be upgraded as you find KK's notes or level up depending on how many souls you deposit, and will give you skill points to upgrade. Your glide, increase your core grab speed, wind weaving speed, fire charge attack, range boost and so on. As you explore Tokyo, you will have to save and capture souls by using your Katashiro, which then you'll have to use special telephone booths to deposit them. And with these it will increase your XP and also money known as Mika. And if you need more, so you can store more spirits on your Katashiro, you can always go to the cat shopkeeper to buy more. You can also buy arrows, talisman, food and drinks, and these come in handy when you get those unexpected hits from different visitors and you need to restore your health. You can also buy dog food at these stores, as you'll see plenty of dogs on the streets of Tokyo, which with KK's abilities you can read their minds, you can pet them, and if you feed them they will dig up money, or some will take you to special loot or collectibles. Unlocking or cleansing shrines will make fog disappear and open up the map to new side missions and collectibles, and you can also use these shrines to fast travel across the map. You also find Jizo statues across Tokyo that you pray to, and depending on the colour of the statue It gives a boost to elemental charges called SP. Red for fire, blue for water, and green for air. Overall, I'm having a lot of fun. Tango Gameworks really brought the atmosphere visually with their different arrays of evil spirits and big open map of Tokyo. I love the different hand gestures Akito makes as he's using different magic elements to take out the visitors. They also did an amazing job on the features on the DualSense controller with the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback, and it's actually nice to see a game that actually uses the controller speaker when KK speaks. The voice acting was on par, and I love the relationship between KK and Akito with the eerie backdrop of Tokyo, even with the out of the blue rain showers. I love the story of the mystery of the fog and the visitors, but I have to admit that I do get a bit sidetracked from the main mission, as there's plenty of side quests to do once you unlock the shrines. And as you know, every tormented soul has a story to tell before you free them. And for that, I'm giving Ghostwire Tokyo a 9 out of 10. Tango Gameworks did an amazing job visually in capturing the city of Tokyo in this action-adventure game. Using just your hands to unleash magic abilities to defeat ghosts and spirits, they made good use of the DualSense controller with the adaptive triggers and haptic feedback. There is plenty of side missions and collectibles that make you want to explore Tokyo even more.
いい曲だな。
そういうこともわかるんだね。
どういう意味だよ。
What's up, everybody? I got us covered this week with our mobile mention. I'm talking about Aerial Knights Never Yield. Now you may look at me and go, didn't you guys talk about this already? We did, actually. We did cover it. It is out on PC and console, so you can check it out there. However, I'm taking it on the run. That's right, we're moving into the mobile platform. We're taking this one on the go, and I'm having a decent time. Art structure, I think, is pretty cool. The style behind it, I think, really lends well to using the parkour mechanics. You got your usual parkour moves, you're jumping, you're sliding, you're dashing as fast as possible around the screen. It is somewhat in the realm of an endless runner. It does play out in a story format, or you can go endless mode. It's really kind of up to you. However, it comes down to the control scheme, which doesn't lend well to a tablet. I'm gonna be completely honest. If you're playing on your phone, that is the way to play this game. Do not play this on a bigger screen. I'm having a heck of a time trying to play on my 12-inch iPad. That's the problem, because you can't adjust the controls. That's where I really kind of feel that there's a setback, because in order to jump, I'm literally moving my hand off the screen and up top to, I just want to be able to move it, control the game with my thumbs. If we could do that, there's 2 bars at the side and 2 bars at the top, and that just makes it for cumbersome moves. When you're about timing and speed, the last thing you want to be able to do is have to take your hand up and then push the button, kind of come back on the screen, like just thumb movements, man. Like, let me do that. Would have been a heck of a lot easier and a lot smoother. Overall, I think the art style is cool. The music does get a little repetitive. So does the parkour moves. You're jumping over the same things a lot. Often you're diving underneath drones, or you're jumping over cars. If you've done the parkour stuff, there's definitely some cool games out there. This one has its own style, and I think it kind of stands out on its own as well. However, it just wasn't for me. It didn't hit that connection, and the controls really hindered the experience about able to time yourself with your jumps and your maneuvers that you need to accomplish in order to move on. I would have liked a bit of a deeper story, getting told through cutscenes that you don't really understand exactly what's going on. Instead, you just know that you're on the run. Not quite enough for me. All in all, Aerial Knights Never Yield on the mobile platform gets a 5. Aerial Knights Never Yield is quick parkour fun for a short time. However, the controls on a larger screen do make it tough to play.
Drew, we're in your wheelhouse this week. We're sneaking around in Republique Anniversary Edition. Drew, like I said, we're getting our stealth on this week. We're checking out Republique Anniversary Edition on the Nintendo Switch. It's been a while since we played a Switch game, you know what I mean? It's it's on every platform, but we're playing this one on Switch. It's the most recent release of this version of the game. This was a game that came out, I believe, in 2013. So, I mean, it's a bit of a change. We're getting into, I gotta get used to it. I mean, we've been playing some, like I've been playing Assassin's Creed, some other games, so getting into Republique Anniversary Edition, I had to kind of adjust myself a little bit, but honestly, it's been a while since I've played a half-decent stealth game, and this one, right from the get-go, kind of gave me some pretty good feels. I mean, I can push back the graphics and kind of get to the story of this game. It was a lot of fun. Drew, I know these are more your games than my style of games, but I enjoyed it right from the get-go. What did you think jumping into this one?
No, I enjoyed it. I am big into that spy thriller, sneaky stealth stuff, right? Like, this is right out my alley. So it made a lot of sense that I should be on this title. So it worked. But, dude, you definitely feel that it is a timepiece, right? It's one of those games back from 2013. So, like, almost 10 years later, we're getting another iteration of the game coming to the Switch. Granted, it works, kind of, right? That the biggest problem is it's the controls. When you're trying to control Hope, I think the story is really cool. It's really intriguing. It's one of the highlights that's going to be standout. If you haven't played this game yet for some reason, here's your opportunity to play it. Basically how the controls work, though, and this is where the biggest problem kind of lends into this game, is you're in control of the security cameras, which then gives you the area layout of the land to move Hope, or they call her 390H.
Yes.
So she's kind of like, she's been captive, held in captive in this facility. Saw some content, and you're trying to get her out to freedom before they wipe her brain of what she knows. So you're trying to sneak her way through. Again, you got to keep, the biggest thing for me, Corey, is you got to keep in the back of your mind, dude, this is a 2013 title. And you can feel it because the AI all look the same, right? They move like slow walking zombies. So they go from point A to point B, turn around, go back to point A. Right?
Very linear.
Just back. Very, very linear. I got nailed once because the cameras, when you're moving, you control Hope. Yeah, you'll get here in a second, won't you? Because you see from the camera, and then you have to guide Hope along, along the walls or along a shelf of some sort that you're ducked behind. But then as you pivot around where you think you currently have control, it jumps cameras on you, and then all of a sudden you think you're going forward, and you're just hanging a left because you're still holding up, but now because the camera angle changed, it now moves where you're actually facing, which then turns her around and then put me right in front of a security guy. I was like, really? So she sprayed him with some pepper spray. You can find pepper spray, and you can gain other abilities as you go because you have your phone. She has a phone, and that's how you kind of came into contact with her. Somehow she was able to get this phone. I don't know how that happened. But
Yeah,
anyway,
they don't really explain that one.
No, but all in all, Corey, I'm having a good time with the game over the course of the 5 episodes, but the controls really do hinder the experience. And you didn't realize this because I accidentally stumbled across it. You can touch the screen to control it too.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Because it has a touchscreen functionality with the Switch, it has that over here as well, because you can literally play this game everywhere, from your old consoles, new consoles, to your iPad, right? So it's one of those things. Corey, that's my experience with the game. What about you, buddy?
Well, you know what? I can get there with you on the control aspect of the game. It is the first thing I kind of noticed that was really kind of holding me back. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and complain about this game because I do think the story, like you said, is what's going to really put the hooks in people and keep them going through this game and push through some of these other issues we may have had, because the story is really well done. The characters you kind of start to get invested in a little bit, and kind of you want to, help Hope escape just as much. And, she might have people on the inside helping her, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of twists and turns in this story without giving too much away. And I think that's really where this game shines. But like you said, because it's an older title and we're just playing it now, you do feel the age of the game, especially in the controls. They are a little clunky. I feel like you're sticking to a lot of walls and surfaces that you maybe don't want to. And it's nice to have control of the cameras, and you can scan things and pick up different information that'll help you kind of solve the mysteries in the story as you go through, which I thought was a really cool mechanic. And that was actually really well done, because from every camera you can see 2 or 3 other cameras, maybe a couple of enemies, and you really get to scope out the land before you send Hope through. But then that's the problem. As soon as you start controlling Hope, things start to get real messy. You had control of the cameras, and now they're switching on you. And I found myself doing a lot of like double takes because I'm pushing forward, the camera switches, but now I'm going backwards and then the camera switches, and it was a little frustrating. It pulls you out of a little bit. The menu system overall was clear, but it was clunky to get through as well. You still had to, a couple of button presses to get to the tiles you needed to, and then go into your inventory. It is a linear stealth game. It is from 2013, but it has a story that I think is worth listening to and kind of playing through. The 5 episodes can get more challenging as you go on. You do run into some different enemies and stuff along the way when you pick up different items, so there is a bit of variety here, and it is going to take you a bit of time to finish the 5 episodes. But overall, this is a sub $20 game on the Switch, so I think you're going to get your value here. If I had to score this, man, because I don't think I can go on without talking about the story more, and that's just spoiler city. If I had to score this out of 10, man, I think I'm going to give it a 6.5. And it's just based on the controls. I do really like the story, but again, this game feels a little dated. What are you going to give it?
Yeah, I definitely take into consideration it is a 2013 title, right? That's the biggest thing. The story, though, is really gripping. It really kind of pulled me in. The stealth mechanic, I'm a big stealth guy, so I admit I've played a lot of clunky stealth games. There's no doubt about it. And this is one of those games, but it's worth powering through, and it has a lot of potential. I'm curious and kind of shocked that we don't have a sequel, honestly, at this point, right? I think there's enough there to drive this into something forward. At the end of the day, I'm a little bit higher than you. I'm there with a 7.
A solid stealth title with a story that can really get its hooks into you, but unfortunately this 2013 title shows its age with clunky controls and frustrating camera angles.
Well, thank you for hanging out with us, as that's going to wrap up today's show. And as always, if you want to be a part of it, all you have to do is go to insidethegame.ca or hit us up in Discord, where there you can submit your clip and be the highlight of the week. This week, we got none other than a returning friend, Hell Monkey. So check it out. Until next week, everybody, thanks again, and we'll see you inside the game.